So this is the last part of us talking about classes, at least I hope it is. We're going to talk today first about public versus private. Up to now, pretty much everything you guys have done, you've put this declaration in front of it and called it public. Public means everyone has access to it. It's not restricted at all. So if you identify the class, you can get access to that piece of data, or the property / variable. If we identify it as private, then only the class that has that data within its scope has access to it. So when we talk about scope, we're talking about the curly cues, right? So the curly brackets, if you are part of that set, if you're a method in that class, or there's another variable in that class, only that set of information within that scope has access to that data. So public means it can be used by a program outside the file. Private means it can only be used by this class. You don't have to name all variables private according to Java. But according to convention, you should always name variables private unless you can come up with a really good reason not to. Sometimes there is. But in most cases, you don't want to name anything that's a variable as public. You want some type of accessor to pass the information along, or a mutator that'll change the information inside the method without you changing it directly. Well, if we try to do this in context, because side is private from coin, in our driver class, if I do c.side, in other words, I have my object c, which is a coin, and I try to change the side within the driver program and say c.side equals 1, directly affect the side, I get an error. It says blah, 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 line 25, the field coin.side is not visible. So Java knows it's there, but it's telling you it's not visible, and it means it's not in the same scope as what you're trying to use it for. You might get a scope error. You might actually get that error that says scope. You're going to get something that says Java can't access that variable for some reason. Now, some people would say, well, the quick solution is, well, let's make it public. Well, if we do that, then it'll work. It'll absolutely work. We can go into this code, change the coin class, and make side public, and then we can affect c.side. So what I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and do that. Give it a shot. Change side from our coin class from the other day, and make it public, and see if you can change the value within inside the driver class. There's an exit ticket that I would like you to do, Unit 5, Lesson 3 exit ticket. But before we go into that, I wanted to talk about the Strand method assignment. So in this assignment, we're going to build another class called Strand. But Strand is going to do something interesting. It's going to take the class that we finished in the last lesson and use that class to create new objects. See, a strand is a collection of lights. So let's look at these different methods that we're going to have to fill. First, we're going to create Strand, which will be a set of an array list to hold one turned on white light bulb that is not burned out. So you're going to put inside an array list one light bulb that's not turned out. So you're going to construct a light using the light class and put it in an array list. That's for your constructor. You need to have a variable in there called Strand. So in your class declaration, you do public class Strand we'll have an array list light strand, will be the line run underneath that. And then you'll have your first constructor strand, much like we did for the book class, the same way we did for the coin class. Then you're going to have the ability to construct an array list of size n. So we're going to do an overloaded method, so a second constructor that allows us to choose the size of the strand. So rather than just having one light, we can choose how many lights we want in it. They should all be light bulb on and not burned out. There should be a two-string method which represents the light objects in the array list. One per line, for example, on, green, not burn out. So we actually have the two-string method for light. So all we're going to do inside the two-string method for strand is use the two-string method for each light. One at a time, go through the strand, print out the two-string method for the light. We should be able to set the color of all the lights. This method sets light bulbs to a pattern called multi, red, green, blued. This one turns all the lights on. This one turns all the lights off. This one sets the light at the locations as burnout to true. In other words, burns out a particular light. So those are the methods that you have to populate. You will have similar tests like you did before. There is a Strand startup file. Hopefully. Maybe not. Okay, I will get that. All right, there will be a Strand startup file that you'll be able to look at. All right, so these two links here and here don't work. The one that works is this link right here. So it's an attached file. So click on that. There we go. So we can see in here public class Strand. I've already set up the array list for you. I've set up the signatures and definitions for each method that you have to write, and you're going to fill in the missing code for each of those. So this is much like the same as we did with light, only this time we're taking a bunch of lights and making them work with the strand. To make this work, you have to have open in Dr. Java light, strand, and the driver class. You need all three files open. Otherwise, Dr. Java will not be able to find light. They'll say there's no such thing as light, which is, means Dr. Java's in the dark because there's no such thing as light. Ha, ha, ha. Okay. You can hear, those of you in the video, there's an uproarious laughter from the people who are live. So, there's also a main method included. It's in the same class as Strand. So don't open up your other main method from light. That's separate. If you want, you can put this in a separate class and call it the driver class. You can leave it inside of this. You can put it in a separate class. It doesn't make a difference. Either way, it's fine. Java will find it. And then here's all the tests, okay? So what you're going to run when you test this out is you're going to run Strand. So you'll have light open. Strand has the public static void main in it, so you're going to run Strand. If you want to pull the public static void main out of Strand and put it into a third file, you can do that too. And then you would just run that third file. So if you have any questions, make sure you contact me and I'll help you through it. This one is a little bit challenging. Make sure you do the exit ticket. And of course, never stop coding.